Hey, it's John from Distressed Mullet. We're at Surf Expo down in Orlando. We've had 2 days to kind of figure out what's going on, and the first day is always like a setup day. I mean, people are just kind of getting in, making sure their boots are good. Some of the retailers are coming in, getting some of their work done early, some of their buying for the next season. Others are waiting till Friday. Friday afternoon's really busy right now. It's been very busy. So yesterday, typically a slower day. Our first impressions were a little bit different than our impressions today, so it's always good to wait till Friday before you say something stupid. I can say stupidly that it feels really good today. I think that the industry as a whole is, it's still trying to find its way. We're obviously tethered to the surf industry here, so the companies that are represented here have their roots in the surf industry. They remain in the surf industry, and the surf industry as a whole has an obvious bearing on the way that they do. So the surf shops, whether or not they want to carry subs, whether or not they're invested in the sport, as that ebbs and flows, it's reflected here. Now, there were a number of companies that were here. Hobie is here, SIC, BIC, a couple of others, but not a ton of them. You don't have, for instance, Surf Tech's not here, SIC's not here. SIC is here, sorry. Starboard is not here. But that doesn't mean that they're not doing well. It just means that this isn't a priority event for them right now. I know that there's a new outdoor retailer that's going to be in Denver this year. Patagonia did a great job of slamming Utah, and they moved the whole dang thing. So I'm not sure where their focus is. So as far as the things that we're not seeing new designs. We're not seeing new bottoms. We're not seeing new tails. We're not seeing new nose designs. We're not seeing new fins. I'll just actually segue to Futures really quick. Futures, it's not that they don't have a sub line, they have a sub line, but they're trying to retool the whole line to be able to accommodate the smaller fin boxes. So they're not necessarily showing the sub lines here. So now I'm a little bit more comfortable, and so is my cameraman. So Futures, like we were talking about, retooling their fins so that they fit in the smaller boxes, which seems to be the only ones that fit in there. There's only a few of them, so they want to be able to get into those like starboard boxes and stuff. So I think a lot of people are kind of adjusting what they're doing. There's a lot of talk about the boards in that sweet spot, 10.6 to 11.2, and a lot of the commoditized parts of SUP are in that range. So the pop-outs are on there. They're beginner boards, the ones that are great for all around and stuff. They're hard to compete with. So you're hearing some of the custom shapers that are saying, I'm not sure if I want to compete in that area anymore. Of course, we'll have a price point board, but we're really going to look for the customized. So when you get on a standard, production board, and then you say, all right, I'm 20 pounds lighter than this perfect person. I want a custom board. I want it to be my colors. I want my pad to look this way. I think there's going to be a trend back towards that, which was where we were before. And now I'm going to actually hand it over to Matt Lennert, actually from Blackbox Surf, who's my cameraman.
Hey guys, I'm Matt Lennert with Blackbox Surf and also race director for Owabi once around Belle Isle stand-up paddle race in Detroit. And I'm here at Surf Expo. Thanks to John for inviting me to come along with him. And I really came, we're not exhibiting, so I didn't have a really heavy sales mission, but just to get the tone of the industry and see kind of where things are. And honestly, I feel really encouraged right now. There's a ton of solidarity, a ton of focus by all the brands, not just, I know what we're doing. We've kind of, focused, kind of trying to just stay to our core values and build the boards that we really believe in to get through this little slump or the bubble burst or whatever you want to call this period we've been through. But all the brands seem really focused on giving their customers and paddlers a concise line of boards that really work, looking for the next steps forward. A lot of focus on buying those brands that have been behind the sport for a long time or are just really authentic. So making sure we're getting the messaging out there about brands that are kind of coming in and either copycatting designs or just doing pop-out boards. And for all the people that might be listening to this, make sure you're going out and buying from a legitimate shop, from the brands that have been around and have built the sport, have pushed the sport forward, have sponsored events, have created the opportunities that we're all enjoying. That's a big focus right now, and something that we should all make sure we're doing. Overall, though, speaking with Kristen from the Industry Association, numbers are still going up. The number of paddlers getting into the sport is still rising. So even though there's been some dilution for each of the brands because there's more equipment out there and the Costco boards and the pop-out boards are so available for people, there's still growth in the sport, and it's our mission to communicate to people why they need to buy quality equipment, know and get personal with the brands that you're buying from. And one of the greatest things that's always been incredible in this sport is how accessible people are. If you see Jimmy Terrell at an event, you can just go talk to him. He's a super approachable guy. If you see top athletes, you can go chat them up, and it continues to be like that. That's how the community around the sport has been built, and it's going to continue. So I'm encouraged. Feeling good.
It was interesting that there weren't as many just like pop up and make a buck type of things.
Definitely not. You see a lot of those companies are either fading out or they're moved on to the next fad, and the people that are here are core brands. And there's a few core brands that aren't here but certainly are in that group, but there's not as much of the profiteering that you're seeing going on, for sure.
What are you looking for today? Last day.
Last day, it's kind of a fun day, just connecting with people, and I feel like we've done the whole show. There's a few really cool innovations that we've seen, but again, like I see all the brands just really focusing on quality and a concise line of boards that really work, and it's great to see.
All right, so there's a couple things we want to work on with the Mullet this year: supporting the local retailers, enabling them to sell their secondary market, their used boards, so that they can go flip people's onto to new boards, get used boards out there so that people can get into the sport and then decide what they want to do and buy these new boards and custom boards and that kind of stuff. Want to help support the reps, want to help support the companies that are doing the work, that are doing original work and it's original designs, putting the innovation into it. So there's three areas that we're going to do. The first thing is, where'd you buy it? So a hashtag, where'd you buy it? If somebody bought a board and they're like, hey, I just got this new thing. So, well, where'd you get it? Because we really want them to get them at the shops. The second part of that is no showrooming. The showrooming is when you go into a really good shop and they walk you through all the things and they tell you what board's best and they demo it and they spend time and they buy electricity and they hire their staff and they pay for the demo boards in there, and then you go home and you buy it for 30 bucks cheaper online. That's showrooming, and that sucks. So no showrooming. And the third one is it's personal, because I think those of us who are left in the industry, those of us who are entering into the sport and in the sport, we know these people. It is very personal because this is our community and this is our sport. So we need to start taking pride in that and supporting the ones that are bringing in the innovation and the ones that are sticking it out. And then actually, I've heard one person say, we took kind of a hit on the industry level this side, but it's just a blip on the radar because the sport is growing. And when you look at the numbers of people that are getting out on the water, it's getting higher and higher and higher. So they're there. Whether or not they're identifying with surf culture, whether or not they're identifying with the river culture, or wherever they may be, the boating, they're there and they're growing. So redefining where we are and going towards those areas, and then also pulling together as a community with the fact that it's just like, really, it's okay for it to be personal. You don't have to be dispassionate about this and just be like, okay, it's all right that you're doing this, you're knocking this off, you're selling this at the discount. I mean, the retailers that I'm talking about, when they're going for those knockoffs, they're trying to make, like, say, 40 bucks on a cheap board instead of making $300 on an expensive board, because they're thinking they're going to make it in volume, but in reality, they're kind of selling the industry short. And they're also not selling the customer service, they're not selling the heritage in these things. I mean, you look at like Hobie, for instance. Hobie just did the 2 collaborations this year. They were freaking awesome. They got the Spooner collaboration where you got 2 companies that have been doing it since the 50s got together. Spooner gave them these custom cloths for their boards, and Hobie builds these great boards with these Spooner fabrics, and they look awesome. It's just such a cool heritage story. And then you got them working with QuickBlade. They didn't say, hey, you know what, I'm going to knock off the V-Drive. What they did was they said, hey, let's do a VectorNet thing. we're doing these cool materials on our boards, you're doing the cool materials on your paddles. Let's match up the colors and let's get people to order these as a set. And instead of us just doing our own thing, we're going to do it with you. You make a little bit of money, we make a little bit of money, but maybe not as much. But look at the product that comes from this collaboration. It's really cool. It's like how you do it right. So it's a really good model. So I think that, you know, again, and also the events. I mean, we're seeing people here from Shark Bike Challenge, from Awabi, from the Carolina Cup, from the Sea Paddle, from the Great Peconic. These races are doing really, they're growing and they're trying to find the best partners on the sponsor side. They're looking for new types of sponsors, whether it's going to be a, you know, a traditional surf area or whether it's going to be a resort or a, let's just say a major corporation that's looking to give back to the community, or for you community races, you know, don't forget about your tourism boards that will invest in bringing people from out of town. So there's a lot of things that people are talking about on the event side that's really cool. So it's happening. Surf Expo did a great job. Every year they listen, they adapt, they try and do the floor plan so it works better. And again, they've got a really nice close-knit group over here with the sub-community mixed in with surf, and it seems like it's really working well this year. I think they have got some even bigger things planned for the fall one. This year was a little bit tough with the hurricane that came through, but I don't know, I'm leaving on an up note. Like I feel like there's some really good things that happened, and when I first got here yesterday, when people were just setting up and it was kind of empty, I was really kind of anxious about where's this all going to go and how's this all going to fit together. But after seeing the people coming through and the attitude that's going by, I feel really good about it. So should you. From a Sonar perspective, there you go. Get on the water. You shouldn't be watching it.